Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Matt for Remnant TV, here in the Vatican this week to cover the summit on the sexual abuse crisis in the Catholic Church. You know, on the way over here this evening to Remnant TV's media deck, also known as the rooftop of our hotel, I happened to notice a group of high school kids walking along the Borgo Pio, you know, obviously here this week for some sort of school-sponsored trip to the Vatican, all very exciting. And I couldn't help but think how tragic this whole situation is, how scandalous that the children of the world, who used to look at the Catholic priest as the veritable symbol of one who could be implicitly trusted in all cases, so near and dear to the heart of families of Western civilization, that for a millennium or more, millions simply referred to the Catholic priest as Father. And yet here today, in the very heart of Christendom, the children of the world are looking on in disbelief as the successors of the apostles must now meet with the Pope, you know, to try to find some way to stop priests, Catholic priests, from attacking children or from attacking each other in any indescribable displays of sexual debauchery and rot in the Catholic Church. And then some people, some anti-Catholic critics are enjoying this, and they say, yeah, well, it's always been like this. There's nothing changed. The Catholic priesthood has always been like this. But friends, let's keep in mind at this most crucial moment in the history of our church, it has not always been this. And those who say that it has been, that's the devil talking. It has not always been this way. Certainly, there have always been sinners in the church, even in the priesthood, of course. Even popes can be sinners. Even popes can go to hell. But not like this. The priest was just that for 1,000 years. He was a priest whose job was to offer the sacrifice of the altar, the holy sacrifice of Mass, and who was set apart, who was sacred according to the order of Melchizedek. He was chosen by God to lead the children of God to heaven. His hands had been consecrated. His soul had been indelibly marked by God Himself through the sacrament of holy orders. No, this is something different. The Church of Vatican II has intentionally demoted the Catholic priest, turned him into a presider, turned the Mass, not into a sacrifice anymore, but into a communal meal. The Church of Vatican II has brought this crisis upon itself and made it official. You can see it in our churches through the destruction of the sanctuaries, tearing out of the communion rails, and turning the priest from sacrificial offer of God, offering God to God, into a presider whose job is becoming more meaningless every day. This is something entirely new, friends. It was not always this way. And neither was the experiment of Vatican II and the liturgical chaos that came afterwards. Chaos which has all but destroyed the point and sacrificial purpose of the priesthood. Sometimes today, we're so close to this crisis that I think maybe we forget to weep over it. We forget to weep over what's been lost to us, over what's been lost to the whole church. Sometimes I think we think, what's the point? What's the use of fighting it anymore? It's too large, it's too powerful. Why even bother staying in the Catholic Church that is such a mess as it is today? But again, I would argue this is the devil speaking. The church has survived times like this before, many times in the past. Maybe never quite to this extent, because as I say, now it's been institutionalized, this rot. The church has brought it upon itself, which is novel. But the reason that the church was always able to rise again from the ashes and overcome the machinations of the devil, whose efforts to dethrone Christ the King always included an attack on Christ's holy priesthood first, for obvious reasons. The reason it was able to survive was because of the grace of God and the courage of priestly heroes such as St. Peter Damian 1,000 years ago, who was fighting the same rot, and because of the faith of the Catholic people. Even in times like these, the people still believed, and so will we. We will not give up the faith. We cannot give up hope. We cannot break the covenant with God, even if and when the Pope and the bishops and priests do. It doesn't change our job description. We still must stay with the church. We cannot abandon the ship and leave the battlefield. So I know, we're all tempted to walk away from this mess. I was tempted not to come here to Rome this week to see if maybe there was something that we could do to be part of a solution here, to raise awareness. I don't know. Thought we had to try. I literally dragged myself here. My wife and my kids back home were worried. Don't go there. Good bishops are hiding from certain evil entities, even inside the Vatican itself. It's a sad day when that is how Catholics are looking at the eternal city. Stay away from it. Something's very wrong there. And I came here anyway because it's my job to come here, and yesterday it became very clear to me why we can't give up, why we must keep on fighting. I've been edified by what's happened here in Rome this week when an international coalition of Catholics, the Acies Ordinata from the Song of Songs of Our Lady, who will lead her faithful remnant in battle against the enemies of her Son. When this coalition of lay Catholics gathered on the Piazza San Silvestro, very near the Vatican, for a silent demonstration, where we all prayed the rosary silently in reparation for the scandal, and as silent witness to the millions of Catholics in the world today who may no longer have a voice, who don't know what's going on, who are confused by what they see, who are heartbroken by what has happened to the Church, but who are now begging the shepherds of the Church to come to the aid of the flock, begging their shepherds to become Catholic men again, and to lead the flock out of this nightmare of rot and secularism and apostasy in the Church. So we had Catholic activists from Italy, Poland, France, Canada, the United States, Germany, Estonia, England, and many other countries, literally a remnant of Catholic believers from all over Christendom. And they met with very little preparation or planning. They just came together, rosaries in their hands, tears in their eyes, tears of sadness, yes, but also tears of righteous anger. For more than an hour, they stood in the silent witness to the fact that despite the best efforts of the revolution, the old faith has survived, and it will survive, even unto the consummation of the world. So standing in silence for 1 hour, in formation, with police guarding the perimeter, media people coming and going, snapping photos of Catholics who represent untold numbers around the world, who are fed up and who will not go along with this modernist madness any longer, who are turning to Our Lady, who will not abandon the field. And I was so proud to stand with these faithful men and women whose silence was simply deafening. And afterwards, after the moment, the hour-long silence, praying of the Rosary, during a press conference organized by this same coalition of lay Catholics, God in His providence, friends, gave us the opportunity to address the Associated Press, ABC News, NBC News, Vatican journalists, the Tablet, many other organizations, news organizations, who seemed surprisingly intrigued by the fact that there are Catholics left, and that these Catholics had come from all over the world to demand that the Vatican be Catholic again. At this point, it seems like there is not a serious approach to addressing this so much as there's a political cover-up. And that's what I say. In all due respect, we are sort of angry at this point. Hoping for them, praying for the best, but angry. And then, as if in answer to our prayers yesterday, like a sign from God Himself, on the very same day as this event, which LifeSite News, by the way, is reporting was the first of its kind in this historic center of Rome, we received the news of the leaked letter of Cardinal Burke and Cardinal Brandmuller addressing themselves to the bishops gathered here in Rome for this summit, in which these two faithful princes of the Church demand that the plague of homosexuality be addressed here tomorrow by the Vatican Summit meeting. So why did we come to Rome? I honestly believe it was so that I could stand here on this rooftop tonight in the very shadow of the Vatican and deliver one simple message from the eternal city to the remnant all over the world. Do not give up. This is far from over. God works through His people. And if the Pope and the cardinals and the bishops are going to walk off the field, then it's up to us and maybe one or two faithful shepherds, like the Bishop of Rochester in the past, or the Bishop from Icone more recently, to stay and to stand and to fight for as long as God gives us the air to breathe to continue to fight. So friends, please, God help us never ever surrender. Keep your beads of the Rosary going. Support your good priests. Return to the Latin Mass today, if it's at all possible. And resolve to never, ever surrender the fight for the holy Catholic faith of our fathers. This is the challenge that confronts us all now. It's the challenge of our lives. and it's up to us not to run away, but to stand and to resist. I'm Michael Matt for Remnant TV, and we'll see you again from the Vatican here tomorrow when the summit meeting begins. May God help us all. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you then.